The multi-million-dollar corporate empire of women's tennis faces a massive executive meltdown after secret participation contracts leaked directly to the public. Panic grips the elite power brokers. For decades, millions of unsuspecting fans truly believe these global superstars operated as independent athletes competing on a completely level playing field. But here's the thing. The newly uncovered documents prove that the entire system operates like a rigged corporate trap, where authorities weaponize ironclad agreements to transform top players into corporate property. Grand Slam champion Elena Rybakina emerged as a brave truth-teller, which instantly turned her into the prime target of this corrupt administrative machine. She flatly refused to stay quiet. Inside, the secret playbook hides terrifying information that will completely shock every single sports fan on Earth, proving the system is broken. Corporate executives assumed legal threats and intense intimidation would bury the truth forever. What nobody expected was for these elite athletes to finally stand up, form a unified front, and completely expose the absolute scam running the entire global tour. Total public humiliation now shadows the corporate leadership team as their intricate web of lies completely unravels. Panic filled the boardroom. Intercepted internal emails from the Florida headquarters expose an unprecedented level of terror among top board members who suddenly realized they could no longer control the narrative or silence the locker room. Years were spent trading player health for massive corporate kickbacks and lucrative broadcasting deals. Now, their dark empire is collapsing because the players officially decided to fight back. The public facade of the organization completely shattered during the absolute catastrophe of the Cancun Finals. Corporate greed drove this disaster. A calculated decision by executives prioritized chasing a quick multi-million-dollar paycheck over protecting the physical safety of their top stars, leaving players completely vulnerable. Leadership literally ghosted superior tournament bids from world-class venues just to secure a shady, last-minute deal that suited their own elite inner circle. Extreme international embarrassment followed, exposing the deep financial rot inside the organization. Leaked documents prove that officials constructed a temporary tennis court on top of an outdoor golf course just days before the prestigious event was scheduled to start. The players faced a nightmare. The world's top 8 competitors arrived at a chaotic construction zone rather than a world-class sports arena. The court surface remained completely uneven, structurally unsafe, and riddled with dangerous dead spots where the ball could not even bounce properly, increasing the risk of severe injuries. Tournament dates fell directly within a brutal, predictable hurricane season. While corrupt executives hid away in luxury VIP suites, the world's best athletes endured torrential downpours and dangerous 40-mile-per-hour winds. Conditions grew terrifying. Elena Rybakina and Aryna Sabalenka stood stranded on an unplayable court while the rain poured down and stadium signs literally flew off the walls. Sabalenka publicly blasted the organization, stating she felt completely disrespected by the atrocious and amateur standards. Defying the corporate narrative entirely, Rybakina openly declared the organizational situation completely ridiculous and unacceptable to anyone who valued the basic physical safety of professional athletes. Defensive panic replaced actual leadership as the corporate board tried desperately to save their own reputations instead of fixing the disaster. Chief Executive Steve Simon completely refused to do live interviews. Silence became his shield as he hid away from the media spotlight for days, fully aware that the complete failure of leadership lay entirely on his shoulders and could ruin his career permanently. The organization later issued a weak letter to the players admitting that the event fell far short of perfection. But here's the thing, they did absolutely nothing to fix the systemic issues that created the nightmare in the first place. Cancun's unplayable courts represented only a tiny symptom of a much larger, darker corporate strategy. Absolute control is the goal. The true mechanism remains buried deep inside the secret participation contracts that every elite player must sign, forcing them into submission before they ever strike a ball. The official rulebook acts as a legal cage designed to strip professional athletes of their fundamental human autonomy. To compete on the global stage, young players must completely surrender their legal rights to the governing body. Ironclad non-disclosure mandates represent the most restrictive clauses, effectively silencing any form of public dissent from the locker room. Fear keeps everyone quiet. Internal records show that the WTA utilizes these secret legal agreements to prevent players from speaking out about terrible working conditions. Massive financial penalties instantly threaten any athlete who tries to criticize a toxic tournament sponsor, a broken schedule, or an unsafe venue. The entire system operates with the explicit intent of transforming independent, strong human beings into mute corporate assets so that executives can protect their income streams. Executives even attempted to force top players to read pre-written corporate scripts during major media controversies. Manipulative control reached new heights. Leaked documents verify that players received strict instructions to tell reporters they felt happy to play wherever the corporate board chose to send them, completely erasing their true feelings. This corporate manipulation reached a disgusting peak when executives pressured players to support tournaments in highly dangerous locations. The authorities cared deeply about securing multi-million-dollar hosting fees while completely ignoring the basic physical safety of their own players. This legal architecture effectively traps players in a cycle of silent exploitation. Athletes face a complete ban. They cannot form independent unions or seek outside legal representation without explicit corporate approval, which isolates them from real help. The participation agreement explicitly states that the governing body owns the commercial likeness and media rights of every single player on the tour. This means the executives can sell player data and images to gambling companies and sponsors without giving the athletes a single dime of the profit. It is a predatory system designed to enrich a small group of suit-wearing executives at the expense of world-class athletes. Systemic abuse completely destroys the physical and mental well-being of the athletes on a weekly basis. Exhaustion scales to dangerous levels. The corporate playbook relies heavily on a predatory scheduling architecture that forces players into a state of permanent physical exhaustion, which often leads to devastating muscle tears and mental burnout. The WTA has steadily increased the number of mandatory tournaments that elite players must attend each season without any regard for human anatomy. If a top star decides to skip a mandatory event to let their body heal, the corporate machine immediately punishes them. The system instantly strips away their hard-earned global ranking points and hits them with massive financial fines. Total devastation follows. This leaves vulnerable players with a terrible choice between risking a career-ending injury or facing absolute financial destruction. Elena Rybakina has spent months actively fighting back against this relentless, unsustainable tournament calendar because she refuses to let greedy directors dictate how much physical trauma her body should endure. The human body simply cannot survive the constant, grueling travel demands imposed by the elite board. Corporate television broadcast deals further fuel the scheduling nightmare by prioritizing late-night viewer ratings over human health. Matches regularly start past midnight. This horrific timing forces exhausted athletes to compete until 3 o'clock in the morning, which means their sleep cycles are completely destroyed before their next match. The players are then expected to conduct media interviews, undergo mandatory drug testing, and return to the court the very next day. Documents prove that the executives remain fully aware of the permanent physical toll this takes on the human body. Yet they refuse to change a single rule because late-night broadcasts maximize television advertising revenue. The official rulebook outlines the weaponization of the zero-pointer penalty system. Burnout triggers immediate punishment. When an athlete withdraws from a mandatory event due to physical burnout, a permanent zero lands on their ranking breakdown for 52 weeks. Dropping or replacing this zero with a better performance at another tournament is completely forbidden under the rules. It actively drags down their global position, ruins their tournament seedings, and forces them into harder matches early in competitions. Mathematical punishments are intentionally utilized by the corporate board to bully injured players back onto the court before they are physically ready. Physical and emotional burnout reached such a critical crisis point that 21 of the best tennis players in the world decided to launch a historic mutiny. Rebellion spread quickly. Bypassing standard corporate channels entirely, they sent a massive, leaked demand letter straight to the executive board. This powerful document completely shattered the WTA's wall of silence, once and for all. The top stars demanded a total overhaul of the flexible schedule to ease their severe mental and physical burdens. The leaked letter also exposed a massive, hidden financial disparity that the executives desperately tried to hide from the public eye. Equal pay claims are a total lie. While the organization publicly brags about its historic fight for gender equality, female tennis players receive a tiny fraction of the prize money outside of the major Grand Slam events when compared to the men's tour. Protection for lower-ranked athletes who are literally going broke while trying to compete became the main objective, with the top 20 stars demanding a guaranteed baseline salary. Specific terms in the letter insisted that all top 100 players receive a fixed wage guarantee of $500,000 per year just to survive the high costs of touring, financial security during pregnancy, and expanded, safe childcare facilities at every single tournament stop on the tour also formed part of the core demands. Executives ignored these basic necessities. They collected massive corporate salaries and bonuses for themselves, while the leaked demand letter proved to the entire world that the players stood completely united against their oppressors. The authorities attempted to suppress the spreading rebellion by creating fake internal councils to review the player grievances. Bureaucratic stalling tactics failed. Appointing inner circle figures and corporate loyalists to head these committees was done solely to buy time and quiet the public outrage. But the players quickly realized that these administrative councils were just another deceptive trick designed to protect the status quo. Promises made by the executive board remained completely empty, and no real structural changes were ever implemented to fix the broken tour, leaving the locker room furious. Turning away from empty promises, the players refused to play games with a deceptive administration any longer. Legal warfare erupted. The battle exploded from the locker room directly into the federal courts through a massive antitrust class action lawsuit filed by the Professional Tennis Players Association alongside current stars. These legal documents prove that the authorities have been operating an illegal monopoly designed specifically to suppress player earnings for decades. The lawsuit officially exposes how the WTA exercises what economists call monopsony power. Single buyer control dominates. This means the corporate board acts as a single, dominant buyer of player labor, which allows them to completely dictate unfair financial terms to vulnerable athletes who have no other options. The documents prove that the authorities use this illegal leverage to keep prize money artificially low while maximizing corporate profits. Unfair legal architecture is intentionally designed to prevent players from finding better commercial and sponsorship opportunities outside of the official tour. The executive board attempted to fight back against the lawsuit by releasing a highly manipulative public statement. Lies filled the press release. They claimed that the WTA operates as a non-profit membership organization where players supposedly hold an equal, highly influential voice. The financial records prove this narrative is a complete and calculated lie designed specifically to mislead the public, because tournament owners and corporate executives hold the true voting power, leaving the actual athletes completely powerless in major financial decisions. The authorities bragged about a promised increase in player compensation, but the documents show that this money remains tied up in complex private equity deals. Corporate leaders brought in outside investment firms. These predatory entities demand massive returns on their money, which means that instead of the revenue flowing directly to the hardworking players, a massive percentage is siphoned off to corporate investors. The underlying financial architecture ensures that the executives and investors get paid first, while the athletes take all the physical risk on the court. The ongoing battle reached a boiling point when the players decided to take their ultimate stand against the corporate machine. Total revenues skyrocketed. Official financial records show that tournament revenues have plummeted for players despite skyrocketing to over $400 million globally, meaning the executives are hoarding the wealth. In major professional sports leagues like the NBA or NFL, athletes receive a fair 50% split of all generated revenue. Tennis authorities, however, keep the player revenue share locked below a pathetic and insulting 15% under the current executive leadership. Elite players have officially run out of patience with this constant corporate greed and exploitation. Patience expired completely. Sabalenka publicly stated that without the players, there is absolutely no tournament and no entertainment for the global fans who buy tickets. Grand Slam champion Coco Gauff openly confirmed that a total player boycott of major tournaments is now a real and terrifying possibility that could freeze the entire industry. The entire sports industry is now rapidly distancing itself from the toxic executive leadership team currently running the tour. Corporate sponsors are fleeing. Major partners are starting to pull out of multi-million-dollar deals because they do not want to be associated with blatant worker exploitation. Prominent tennis legends have stepped forward to publicly demand that the entire executive board be completely removed from power immediately. The corporate fortress that Steve Simon built to protect his inner circle is now completely crumbling to the ground in front of the world as the players strip away his authority. Authorities tried to use ironclad contracts, secret non-disclosure mandates, and predatory schedules to permanently control the locker room. Legal threats failed. They truly believed their intimidation tactics would keep elite athletes submissive, quiet, and compliant forever, but their calculated plan backfired in the most spectacular and public way possible. Elena Rybakina and her fellow players refused to let a corrupt corporate system dictate their lives or ruin their physical health for profit. The unified front of the players has completely stripped the corporate authorities of their absolute power and leverage. Exposure came fast. Leaked documents, historic mutiny letters, and public boycott threats have left the executive board completely exposed and defenseless against the rising anger of the fans. The reality is that the WTA cannot survive without the very athletes they tried so desperately to cage. Steve Simon thought they'd destroy Elena Rybakina, but they only destroy themselves.